And it's a really good sharing. Actually, so we can have the successful case, and we can see the real world case in the sharing. And I should pass it to Ms. Grace Cost for the next part. Ms. Grace Cost is the Chairman and Executive Director of Allied Sustainability and Environmental Consultants Group Limited. And we understand AEC is the first service providers of CRREM in Hong Kong and mainland China. And I pass it to you, Grace.
Hey, thank you, Dennis. Please help me share the PowerPoint. Thank you. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So my sharing topic is getting started with CRREM. Next slide, please. So for those who are not familiar with AEC, Allied Environmental Consultants is a Hong Kong-based pioneering sustainability and environmental consulting firm with over 28 years experience, and our holding company, AEC Group, is the first listed sustainability and environmental consultancy services provider in Hong Kong. So the portfolio we've been working on spanning from Hong Kong, mainland China, and Asia-Pacific region. And recently, we are honored to have partnered with CRREM to accelerate real estate net zero transition in the Asia-Pacific region with the updated CRREM science-based target aligned decarbonization pathway. So we're going to provide CRREM-aligned transition risk assessment to help our client to analyze the stranding risk for their real estate portfolios in different locations. Next slide, please. So this is the services we provide. You can see we try to be a one-stop shop for sustainability and carbon neutrality. So we will help our client, on both group level and also asset level. So we often would receive inquiry from clients, how to translate the group level carbon neutrality goals or the climate risk management requirement to the asset level or portfolio level. So we found CRREM is a very useful tool to help us to conduct asset level performance projection and also benchmarking against science-based pathway. Next slide, please. So a bit about, the driver for asset or portfolio level transition risk assessment or transition risk management. So of course, we're facing more stringent building codes, building energy efficiency regulation or labeling, and also pricing in of carbon emissions, no matter it's through carbon tax or external or even company internal carbon pricing scheme. The market effects, your peers doing it, your investor are asking for it, and also the technological disruptions, potential legal liability, of course, the disclosure requirements, and reputational risk. And also, we found that we need, this kind of information, the transition risk assessment and management data to engage our stakeholder. Because for the real estate, we have a very long supply chain, the stakeholder along your value chain, your investor, your fund manager, and also even your tenants. So it all will have impact on the property values, litigation related to poor environmental performance or affecting your company image if you're not managing your transition risk properly. Next slide, please. So this is a typical decarbonization strategies or pathway for existing buildings. And you could see, through our energy efficiency measures, like replacing, this is actually a real case for one of the existing building we've been working on, like replacing aged chiller plant or replacing aged fresh air unit, optimizing the building BMS system, and adding renewable energy system, regular energy audit, retro commissioning, having a smart lighting system, IoT device, lift modernization, and potential improvement on the building facade thermal performance. If you add all this up, it would be around 50%, and this is also the figure that we always come across when we're working on, building level decarbonization strategies. But when the asset manager, when the facility management and the building owner, they're looking at, this kind of decarbonization strategies, often, they ask a number of questions like, is our property above or below our country average regarding energy intensity? And do we have sufficient data to make the right decisions? Is a property 1.5 degree ready? So what's the benchmark we are using? We are comparing against our energy consumption. And did we consider climate change or decarbonization of energy grids in this decarbonization pathway? Or which properties in our portfolio we should prioritize, which is the top one question we often heard about. And also how do we evaluate different refurbishment, retrofitting, capex, and also other options like renewable energy production versus buying green energy. So we really need the right tool to help to conduct this kind of analysis. Next slide, please. So when we are conducting asset level transition risk assessment, we need to identify the stranding risk of a property. So using this kind of map, we can map out how a particular asset performs against a specific 1.5 degree aligned decarbonization or energy reduction pathway, which is the CRREM-2 provide. And also by projecting the baseline performance of the asset, you could estimate the date of stranding. So as shown in this stranding diagram, the black curve is the building energy performance. It is Paris aligned, that means it's below the green curve, only at the very beginning. So we need to consider retrofitting, energetic retrofit or renewable energy or other measures. Otherwise, the property would be stranded before 2050, highlighted in the red circle. So the asset performance projection taking into account climate change and also projected decarbonization of the electric grid. So by conducting this kind of benchmarking exercise, we could estimate not only when a particular asset might be exposed to transition risk as a result of non-compliance, and it also enables building owners to put a price tag related to this risk and initiate different countermeasures. Next slide, please. So company needs to identify stranded asset in their real estate portfolio to evaluate the progress of a portfolio's carbon reduction performance against reduction targets, and integrate carbon efficiency and retrofit requirements into investment decision. And of course, also in Hong Kong, because the Hong Kong Exchange requires to comply with the mandatory TCFD-aligned climate-related disclosure by 2025. Next slide, please. So the benefits of the CRREM risk assessment tool we found is that it's useful for setting science-based Paris-aligned net zero target, as Sven has mentioned earlier. It helps us to identify stranding risks or the transition risk due to non-compliance with regional energy efficiency or greenhouse gas intensity pathway. And also, this climate risks are related to transition to a low carbon economy. And it would be necessary for us to disclose it in the ESG report later on. And also, it would allow us to conduct asset level performance projection and benchmarking of energy and greenhouse gas intensity against science-based pathway. It allowed transparent analysis of carbon risk, calculation of abatement costs, and evaluating the correct timing of future retrofit measures. And it provides an opportunity to start a dialogue between investor and fund manager and assist reporting carbon risks, including the TCFD requirement. And also, CRREM results are globally aligned, so it's especially helpful for asset owner with a portfolio in different parts of the world. And it provides both a carbon and energy intensity pathway. Next slide, please. It also aligns with leading international framework approaches or initiative. Sven and also Calvin has also mentioned this, so I won't go through this line by line, but I would like to show an example because with my another role in the GRESB Standard Committee, I really have to also explain that the CRREM and SBTi pathway is also been used in the GRESB transition risk report. So the top-down decarbonization pathway used in the GRESB transition risk report were developed by CRREM, leveraging a method based on the science-based target initiative sectoral decarbonization approach. Next slide, please. So this is the structure of the CRREM risk assessment tool. So within the decarbonization targets, we could identify the decarbonization pathway based on country, building type, and the two target 1.5 degree or 2 degree. And then we could input individual asset information in the portfolio, and we could choose to include or exclude individual asset with a click. And also we could have both asset level results to identify the stranding risk by property, the reduction pathway, cost of excess emission and retrofitting, break-even point, etc., or portfolio level result, like the likewise like the asset level results, but with a specific graphs and metrics useful for TCFD reporting. In fact, we found that the analysis is very useful for planning retrofit actions to mitigate the stranding risk at the asset level. And we could conduct different scenario analysis, like more renewable energy production or site, or more green energy procurement, or even divestment of non-compliant properties, options that can be simulated in the CRREM tool. Next slide, please. So as investor asset manager, now you should really start to review your current decarbonization strategies and climate risk management, understand the real estate portfolio under the context of climate change, and also collect data, including financial and environmental data of standing real estate investment. Next slide, please. So to help you to get started with CRREM, we've prepared the guidelines on setting decarbonization targets and how to apply CRREM pathways for China and Hong Kong, which is going to be released after the webinar. And also we'll have Chinese version available for this guideline, so please stay tuned to our website and social media platform for the update. Thank you very much.
Okay, our speakers just walk you through CRREM pathways, global developments, and real-world cases. Case studies is a good start for the built environment to pave their decarbonization roadmap. And thanks Professor BIENERT to share the useful tools CRREM for decarbonization for built environment. Thanks Kevin for sharing the real case of the pioneer for decarbonization linked asset management. And also thanks Grace for sharing how AC can help our clients to walk along the decarbonization pathway and the linkage amongst CRREM and some required sustainability and climate change standards by stakeholders.